as a historical figure, as somebody who's put...
Liz Cheney?
Yes. How do you see her?
None of those things. I mean,
popular radio host Charlamagne The God was on The View, pushing back on some of the more ridiculous mainstream political talking points that are making the rounds on television. So
this is David Dole from, I almost said the Humanist Report. Was it Rational National? This is not even my video day, but I really had to comment on some of this stuff about, again, the narrative of Democrats being cowards. Nonsense. I'll explain.
So it was incredible to see this kind of pushback that you often do not see on platforms like this. But Charlamagne's going to discuss the Democratic Party, Joe Manchin, Joe Biden, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Nina Turner briefly, and also Liz Cheney, whether she's a zero or a hero. So first, let me get to the first clip here, which is on the Democratic Party.
Are you still frustrated with the way the Democrats are countering the Republicans?
yes, I feel like Democrats have tried every political strategy except for courage, you know? And I'm on record as saying the four thing.
What do you mean by that?
Well,
He looked as if he was expecting an applause. Was that an applause line? I feel like the Democrats are everything else except for courage. Courage, yeah. Anybody? Courage, Democrats, they need courage. Anyway, Democrats don't have a courage problem. That's BS. It is not about courage, right? I think I used this analogy before. You have a child molesting principal in a school, and you have teachers that are touching children inappropriately, and then you talk about the principal doesn't have the courage to fire these teachers, to call them out. It's not that the principal doesn't have the courage. He doesn't give a damn. He's a pedophile. You got a pedophile principal. He doesn't care that other teachers are touching kids. He's down with it. He's okay with it. Right? You really believe the rhetoric from the principal about, I'm hearing stories about teachers that are touching children. This will not be tolerated. We're going to have a zero talk. He doesn't care. He does it himself. He's friends with those teachers. They're on the same team. Charlamagne The God is falling for the Democrat lies. Just like Trump plays a character on TV that the people who support him and voted for him, what they fell for. They failed to separate the real Trump for who he is versus the character he plays, the entertainer that he is, right? Same thing with the Democrats. And it goes to both sides. You have, and I don't know if they're doing it intentionally or not, but you have right-wing media that will attack Democrats for things that they're not down with. Talk about things like defund the police. Which major Democrat is pushing for defund the police? Looking at Joe Biden like he's being controlled by the left. The left? What left you got in the Democratic Party? The fraud squad? Man, that's controlled opposition, right? But you have the same thing happening with people like Charlamagne The God, falling for the Democrat narrative that they actually want to help us. They actually want to serve their voters. So clearly the only logical reason why they're not fighting and stepping up to the plate is because they're cowards. They're not cowards. They don't want to. They don't care. They're not with us. They're more with the Republicans than they're with us, right? The duopoly, right? The frauds on YouTube who like to talk about the one side of the duopoly, all Democrats or all Republicans. No, it's the two of them. Just the two of us.
I think there's four things that need to be done to preserve democracy. You know, one is get rid of the filibuster.
I just got a comment about the looks on their faces. They're like, what you talking about, Willis? What you talking about, Willis? So clueless. So he says you need to get rid of the filibuster.
So you can properly legislate.
Manchin.
Wait for the apologists. Come on, you know we're talking to some liberals here, right? So they gotta come with the apologists. Oh, but what about 10-point plan? Where's your 10-point plan, AOC?
Won't have it.
That's right.
And Kirsten Sinema too.
That's right.
So it's not his fault.
She couldn't even pronounce the name. Oh, it's not Biden's fault. Leave Biden alone. Biden honestly cares about the American people. He would so want to help us out. He wants what's good for the voters, right? Not the donors, right? Joe Biden cares about the people. If only Joe Manchin, his good friend, would wait a minute. They're good friends. Wait. And Pelosi's good friends with him too. Wait. Hold up. Is this some Hulk Hogan versus
One is
Biden's fault.
that's right. One is expanding the Supreme Court. You got to protect voting rights, and you got to prosecute everybody involved with the insurrection on January 6th. It takes courage to vote.
I would make special care to, when talking about the prosecution of people involved with January 6th, focus on the people at the top. Too many times in this country, it's we the people who suffer the most, right? We are held to a much higher standard than those in power. Our police have their immunity. They can literally kill us and get away with it, right? Qualified immunity. Well, I didn't mean to, right? Meanwhile, a 20-year-old, I think he's 19 actually, hits a woman and kills her by accident with his car. 20 years in jail, in prison. 20 years in prison. No criminal record, right? Meanwhile, the people in power are seldom held accountable. So yes, hold everyone accountable for serious crimes. And actually, regardless of whether it's serious or not, uphold the law, right? Uphold the law. If they did a minor violation, give them a minor punishment. They did a major violation, give a major punishment. But I'm much more interested in the people at the top. In fact, I'm so much more interested in that I would support the complete pardoning of all the regular people who fell for the lies and broke whatever laws they broke. Pardon them all, except for the ones who utilized violence or the most whatever else. I mean, violence is the biggest thing, right? But anything that's really, really severe crimes. But main thing is the violence, the people who attacked those police officers and put them in the hospital. Yeah, they need some serious time. I would be okay with pardoning the rest of them, even the defecating in the Capitol. Pardon them all. I would accept that. I'll be completely comfortable accepting that if the deal is that everyone at the top gets punished with the severest of applicable consequences. I don't want you to go above and beyond in terms of what the law says. Follow the law. Treat those people at the top the way you would treat we the people, right? I would support putting all the weight on them, right? And letting an overwhelming majority of the regular people go, and let the only other people that really get in trouble be the ones who got violent, the most severe offenders, if it meant the people at the top. It is extremely important that the people at the top be held accountable. We cannot have a country where you have people living above the law, where we have a government that's above the law. We have politicians that are just doing whatever they want to do and saying all kinds of stuff and lying to the public and doing all kinds of things that are leading to serious consequences. Wars, people dying, the Capitol being attacked, and they're getting away with it, right? So I appreciate him saying, they should be held accountable, but I would prefer a focus on the people at the top.
Get rid of the filibuster, but it also takes courage to call out people like Joe Manchin, to call out people like Kirsten Sinema, and let us, the general public, know those are the people blocking progress in this party.
You feel that
Joe Manchin and Sinema are not blocking progress. The Democratic Party is. I know some people have this duopoly brain, this polar brain, left, right, the dichotomy. Just because the Democrats are blocking progress doesn't mean the Republicans are better, because they're not. But we ain't talking about the Republicans right now. We're talking about the Democrats. The Democrats are the ones
They're not doing that enough.
who, again, relevant to this discussion, right? We're talking about Democrats who are serving their donors, their rich elite donors, and abandoning the American people. Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema are one of the best assets in the Democratic Party. They're serving the interests of the Democratic Party, which do not align with we the people. Joe Manchin is protecting the wealthy donors of the Democratic Party. Nancy Pelosi is a donation powerhouse, so she's one of the people that benefits the most from what Joe Manchin is doing. If Joe Manchin wasn't playing the bad guy, then the Democratic Party would be pissing off a lot of donors who Pelosi has relationships with. And that's one of the big sources of her power. She's a donation powerhouse. When people think about getting rid of her, they think about all the money you would lose because she's the access to the money. Joe Manchin is protecting Pelosi's money. I don't mean that literally, but essentially that's what he's doing. Obviously, he's got his own scam going on in his own state, right? But ultimately, he's protecting the donors, the big supporters of the Democratic Party. He's not fighting Joe Biden. He's not fighting against the Democratic Party. He's not an obstacle, right? He's just playing a role. The rotating villain.
Blocking progress in this party.
You feel they're not doing that enough.
Absolutely not. Like, I mean, you know, Bernie Sanders was one of the first, you know, high-profile people in that party to do it last week. You know, AOC
You feel he's not doing it enough, don't you?
has been doing it. People like Nina Turner have been doing it. But it's just like, that's what I was actually trying to get the vice president to do,
But
to
Charlamagne,
point
here's
us in
the
the right
rub,
direction.
though. In West Virginia, could there be a Democrat that's not in the Joe Manchin mold who gets elected? Because listen, Joe Manchin could easily become a Republican. And if he becomes a Republican today,
Lose another
I'll
head,
tell you
yeah.
so what.
You gotta love the way these liberals have a way of this fair-mongering. You know, like when people talk about getting rid of Pelosi, it's like, oh yeah, but who's gonna replace her? I got a liberal friend who was saying that to me. You know, if you lose Joe Manchin, then the Democrats wouldn't be able to do anything exactly like what they're doing right now. Wait, what? So if Joe Manchin stays there, he's going to block them from doing the things they claim they want to do. But they don't want to get rid of him, because if they get rid of him, then they're not going to be able to do the things that they're not doing currently because he's blocking them. Wait, what? Joe Manchin's there, he blocks. Joe Manchin's not there, he doesn't block, but they don't have the ability to do the things that they aren't doing right now. So the end result of Joe Manchin being there and not being there is these things don't get done. So what is stopping us from getting rid of this guy who's supposedly blocking everything? Oh, that's right, he's not blocking anything.
But
You
you're not getting
don't
anything
lose
done
another
now.
seat. You lose control of the Senate.
That's the
You're not getting anything done.
Lose control of the Senate that they're using right now to do what? They're using control of the Senate right now to do what? Defunding the police? No. Healthcare? No. Forgiving college student-owned debt? No. Somebody in the back of the room tell me what the Democrats are using their control of the Senate to do right now. Codifying Roe versus... You ain't black.
Now, so if he becomes a Republican, who cares?
You got Ketanji Jackson Brown on the Supreme Court.
That's the same thing. It's a numbers game, right? Even Ketanji Brown Jackson on the Supreme Court. Ketanji Brown Jackson on the Supreme Court. It's great to have her there, but it's still a numbers game. So it's still a 6-3 conservative majority. So I don't even want to put the pressure on that sister, because when things don't go right, they'll be pointing the blame at her when it's 6 other people taking back all of our rights on that.
As a profile in courage, as a historical figure, as somebody who's put...
Liz Cheney?
Yes. How do you see her?
None of those things. I mean, I mean, that's a broad question. How do I see her? Like,
yeah, because some people see her as a hero in today's politics.
No.
Some people see her as a zero.
Well, she's standing up to people who say that the
bar was set pretty low.
Was stolen.
Yeah, but she was complicit for 4 years. I mean, when you ride with Donald Trump on damn near everything for 4 years, I don't think you can be considered a hero. Not to mention, after January 6th, she voted against the John Lewis voting rights bill. So you can't tell me that you're standing up for democracy when you won't even vote to preserve the cornerstone of democracy, which is voting. So.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh! You let Charlamagne come in there and knock you with some knowledge. Wow. Now, a lot of conservatives got it wrong when they, ironically, yet again, look at things in the opposite way. They look at her. Somehow it's weird. They said they're weak. So it's strong to go along to get along, right? So when you see the entire Republican Party voting together, you know, whatever it is the party's doing, they're just going along with it. Like, somehow it's weird, like the cognitive dissonance. Like, that's seen as, like, that's courageous. The thing that is cowardice is for you to be, like, the extreme minority. You're like the two Republicans that's going against the grain. And that is cowardice. To go against the grain, to risk losing your position, to be ostracized and attacked and threatened, right? That is somehow in the minds of Americans, partisan Americans, tribalists, somehow is cowardice. But the rest of the Republicans who are just, you know, yes, no, we're going to stop that, you know, whatever it is. Socialism, no. CRT, no. Right? Somehow that's courage. Right. The most courageous people are members of a cult who all do the exact same thing. The cowards are the ones who leave the cult. Right? You coward. You didn't have the strength to stay in the cult and do what everybody else is doing. You left like the coward that you are with your tail between your legs. Meanwhile, I'm about to drink more Kool-Aid because we're going to Mars. Where did that cult go? That Heaven's Gate cult or something?
She's not a hero.
Amazing. Amazing. And the reason why this is amazing is not because this is like a point that no one's made. No, this point is made again and again by people on the internet, that this point is made